I'm Jordan, and this is just a testimony about my marriage, where we were at, where we have been, and where we're gonna be. So my husband and I, we met about 11 years ago, and when we met, it was like 2 months after I met him that I got pregnant with our first daughter. I was 19 or 18, when I got pregnant. And while I was pregnant, we kind of split up and stuff, and so Dustin, he kind of went his way and did his own thing, and I was just pregnant and a teenager, and so I just kind of worked and stuff like that. Well, after I had my daughter, we got back together, and then that's kind of when things started. Like we were living really worldly. I didn't have any knowledge of the Lord or anything church like at all. I never grew up that way. And Dustin, he did, but he was trying to get the girl, and so he didn't really push forward with anything to do with church at all or anything like that. And so while we were dating, we had gotten engaged, and we were just we were drinking a lot and just doing a lot of things that we really should not have been doing. And then we moved to Texas and had our second child, and we were still living in that worldly mindset, just doing a lot of things that we should not have been doing. It's okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so we moved to Texas, and then shortly after we moved to Texas, we had our second child. Well, during that time, we had met some friends who were just not good friends at all, but we were blinded by it. We didn't know, that these people were not good people. And so my husband and I, we really got caught up in the lifestyle that they were living, which was a lot of partying, a lot of just things that we should not have been doing. Well, in that process, my husband had gotten some strongholds throughout that time, and as we started going to church and stuff and getting closer to the Lord, I really started going towards living more for God and leaving all that stuff behind, where my husband, he was he was stuck in that. He didn't really know how to get out of that. And so it was a lot of war going on, basically, because I wanted something completely different than what we were living in, and he wanted both, but you can't have both worlds. You either live in those strongholds or you completely surrender and give it up and live for the Lord. But I was really embarrassed by it, because I didn't want anyone to think that my husband was less than. I didn't want anybody to think that we had this horrible life, or that he was doing all this stuff, and I didn't want I also was fearful that my kids would get taken away or something like that, and so I just kind of kept it all inside, and I didn't really tell people about it, because it was really embarrassing, and I didn't want people to look at him any differently than what he was, because he is a really good man. And so it's been 8 years of just going back and forth. He wanted to get set free, and then, he would for a couple days and then be right back into it. And he, went through a lot of different programs, spiritual programs that we had and stuff like that. And he reached out to people, which was good, but then he would just seclude himself and hide himself inside, and he would be living this alternate lifestyle. And I think I was so blinded by it, because I didn't want to deal with it. It was just more I'll just continue to pray, and eventually he's going to get set free. And that's what I kept holding on to, that is that, God can make anything happen, but I had gotten to a point where I thought, well, he's not going to change, because, he's been living this life for so long, and he can't change. I really thought he was one of those people who couldn't change. But God, he's so much better and so much bigger than anything that I could have ever, imagined him to be. And so it really got to the point where it was, nothing else is working. And so we were just, we were sitting on our couch, and this was 2 months ago. We were sitting on our couch, and I was like, you're going to have to go to treatment. That's the only thing that can happen, is for you to go to treatment. And so I started looking into it, and it was really expensive, something that we definitely could not have afforded, because all of our money kind of went to Dustin's alternate lifestyle. And so my husband, he went to a Bible study the next morning, and he texted me an hour after he went to that Bible study, and he's like, I can leave tomorrow. It's completely paid for. It's free, whatever. And it was just, it's crazy how God works. When he wants something done, it gets done so fast and so easy. It wasn't hard. It wasn't difficult for him to leave. It was just, okay, we're doing it. It's done. Let's go. And so he went and he did it, and it was super amazing, because I was able to open up, and I was able to kind of let those walls down, because I knew that God was going to deliver my husband, that my husband was going to be set free, because months ago God made me that promise. He told me that he was. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. And so my husband went to this 30-day program, and amazing things happened. I mean, I was very fearful of him coming home because of the past. I didn't want the past to keep reoccurring and coming back up in our life. And a friend of mine had told me about a dream that she had where my husband was completely new. Like, he was the same person, but he was just, his face, like his body, like he was new, like he was a new creation, like, you know, God promised that he would be. And the moment I saw my husband at the airport, he was a new creation. Like, it was crazy. All of those, that anger and that frustration that I had towards him, like, it completely left. I didn't have any resentment towards him. I didn't have anything towards him. And that's only because of God, because a month ago, I wanted to divorce my husband. I wanted to leave him. I didn't want to live in that anymore because I was tired of it. I mean, it was a long time coming. But God is so good, and he just completely restored our family. We have a new marriage. I mean, yes, we still have our ups and downs, but, you know, every marriage does, and that's, you know, where we're going to grow stronger together as a couple and as a family, because we relied on God, and we were faithful, and we knew that God was going to restore my husband, and he has. And it's just amazing. And I would definitely do this journey again, because the outcome has just been so amazing, and just seeing the wonderful things that God has done within our family, within our children, and within my husband, like individually and then together as a whole. It's amazing, and I'm so excited for what the future has for my husband. So yeah.